Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but that long wait is definitely going to be worth it because we have an absolute banger of an episode for you guys today. We have a whole bunch of modifications, as you guys saw by the title and the thumbnail, to do to the exterior of this car to make it look absolutely gangster, and I cannot wait to transform this thing. But before we get into those exciting modifications, we actually do have quite a lot of maintenance work to do in order to get this car actually running good, running properly, and driving really nice, because at the moment it actually drives like poo. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So as you guys saw in the last video, we have our new interior in here with our new Recaro seats out of an Accord, and then we also have our suede headliner, and I've been driving it around and I absolutely love it. But yeah, we'll take it for a quick spin now and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about in terms of how badly this thing drives. And so we don't have to drive very far to show you guys these issues. The first one being, you can see when I drive, the car veers to the left quite a bit, and then the steering wheel is shaking a lot. And then the second issue I have with this thing is when I give it the gas and then get off the gas, the car shakes and thuds very violently like this. Like it's really, really violent, and it makes it really hard to daily drive. So as you can see, these are pretty big issues, and they make the car drive like absolute crap. However, I have been driving the car like this somehow around for probably 2 or 3 years with these issues, no problem. There's like, when cars have certain quirks about them, you can find ways to kind of drive around. Today is the day I'm finally going to make this car drive actually nice for once, and I cannot wait. So of course I have some parts for it, and these are what I've got. So I've got some brand new axles for it, because I know for a fact that the axles in here are absolutely clapped. They're so bad, so far gone, that I'm pretty sure all of our problems are caused by the axles. And if it's not the axles, then we can go through and find what else is causing it. So yeah, that's our first job today. We're going to be taking the axles out of this thing and swapping them with these brand new ones. Let's do it. Alright, so first things first, we've got to get the suspension strut out, and then we can work out getting the axle out. And yeah, I've done this like a million times on these Civics, so I'm like pretty quick at this now. And we can get these 14mm ones off here. And we got two 14mm on the top. So now we've got the top ones off. Grab the 17mm with your spanner, and then you just buzz this one off down here. I like to use a spanner on the other end of this bolt while I twist it out. Just kind of pull that out like that. And just like that, the strut is out. You obviously got to pull the axle nut off too. And then, with that out of the way, kind of pull this through here. Like that. And then I just use my pry tool against the gearbox like that. Kind of pop this axle out. So we're going to quickly do a side by side, old versus the new axle. Hopefully they're the same. Yeah, they look to be almost identical. But yeah, as you can see, like, look at the state of that. Like, this thing slides all the way in and out like this, and then there's heaps of play in these two, and yeah, that's just no good to anyone. Whereas the new one, nice and tight. Yeah, well, that's in there. Woo! Alright, so you just have to pop that ABS ring off the axle there, because obviously my car doesn't have ABS. I can slot this new axle hub, hopefully it fits into the new hub. Come on, come on. Yes! Nice. Woo! So quickly just snug it up. This. So we now have the other side axle out now too, and there's another side by side of them kind of pairing up together. Bloody hell! So I've ran into a bit of an issue. So the passenger side axle, as you can see on this one, there's kind of like this empty space here, whereas this one it's fully yeah, I might try swap this inner outer CV thingy with this one and then see if that works. So yeah, wish me luck. So you can see we swapped the old inner CV shaft with the new one thingy, and yeah, let's get this back in the car. Alright, so both axles are now in. Let's take her for a test drive. So the last clip you saw of me was actually when I chucked the axles in this thing, and it literally fixed all of our issues. The steering wheel shake, the joltiness under acceleration, the braking issues, like everything. And this thing was really, really enjoyable to drive. Actually, the first time this car has ever really felt like a proper car since I swapped the B series in. Before then, like the B series always felt like it didn't belong in this car because it felt like an engine swap, because it just felt rattly, felt jolty, like real hard to drive. But now it's real easy, real nice, and yeah, huge upgrade and really satisfying job. However, the fun of driving this thing around was very short-lived, as the car actually broke down on me the other day on the motorway, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. As you can see now, when we go to start this thing, it just cranks and doesn't start, and I hear no fuel pump priming. So originally I thought, okay, the fuel pump's dead, I'll replace it. However, I tested the wiring and I found out there's no power going to the fuel pump. So I thought, oh, that's weird. I'll swap in a main relay. I swapped the main relay out of this Civic, and still nothing. So then I checked, okay, is the ECU sending power to the main relay, which it wasn't. So then I thought, oh, that's weird. I'll check if the ECU is getting power. It turns out the ECU fuse is blown. So then I started going on this big rabbit hole, trying to find out where, why I could be shorting, all this sort of stuff. And I ended up finally finding it. And it was in the wheel well where we'd swapped the axle. And it turns out the axle has completely just like ripped apart the whole wiring loom on the left side. It must have been from when we swapped out the axle. Maybe I moved the wiring loom a little bit or something, or maybe it came loose, or I broke a zip tie or something. But yeah, let's check the car up and we'll take a look and hopefully get this thing started again, so continue on with the video. Alrighty, so here's what I was talking about. So when we installed the new axles, we also installed the fender lining because it wasn't installed before that. And you can see here we've rerouted some of the wiring that used to be in the engine bay, because it's a bit nicer routing it under here. However, when we installed this, it must have pushed this a little bit, and you can see our wires here got caught in the axle or something, and it has actually stripped some of the loom here. I'm lucky it hasn't done more damage, to be honest. So I spent the last 30 minutes or so fixing up the wiring loom, and actually none of the wires were actually split or broken. They just had the heat shrink kind of burnt off it. So I was able to kind of do this basically on every single wire, and hopefully that should do the trick. I think for the future I'm going to be running the wire back on top of the strut tower, like how it was from factory, instead of underneath in the way there of like the axle and like other moving parts. So yeah, we've got it kind of just all put back together a little bit now, and yeah, let's see if she starts. So I have actually replaced the fuse, so hopefully she starts. Hey! Sure. Been a very long afternoon working on this car. I was swapping out a lower ball joint on this side, and it was just battling me heaps. I even took the parts car a bit apart just to realise that this ball joint won't fix. So I found another ball joint off another spare knuckle that I had, and I swapped it on. And now that ball joint is all sorted, so that's pretty exciting. Now I've just realised that I had the original hubcaps for this car sitting at the back there, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking the 14-inch steelies off this thing, so I can put these hubcaps on this car and get it looking proper original for when we take it in for a waft. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see these back on the car, and it's going to be the ultimate sleeper build and hopefully look less like a shitbox. So let's do it. So it's another beautiful day in Wellington, and we are outside working on the Civic, of course. Today is a big day because I want to try and take this thing in for a waft. So I've been doing a lot of work this morning. Like I swapped the seats out back to the original ones. which actually came out of this car. Along with swapping the seats back over, I have also relocated the battery back into underneath the bonnet here. Beforehand we had a cold air intake going here and snaking it back, so we had the battery relocated to the boot, but for WAF it needs to be strapped down like this. So essentially for the WAF we're just going to be running it like this, without an air intake filter, and hopefully it should be all good and nothing flies in there on the way down. But yeah, essentially this car is basically a stock standard EF9 at this point, besides a few little suspension things. Like I found out yesterday that EF9s actually have bigger brakes when I was trying to swap knuckles and stuff over. So yeah, it's all pretty interesting stuff, but yeah, I absolutely love this thing, and when it's in this form it's very comfy to drive, so I'm looking forward to it. Alright, so I am driving the car down to take it in for a WAF, and I just want to say how nicely this thing drives now. Like, the steering wheel doesn't shake at all, even at motorway speeds. And like the last night I did it off camera, but I actually changed the entire steering column, and man, that has made an absolutely massive difference to like how this car turns and stuff. I think the last one was toast, and there was a few bits and pieces kind of broken on it, or a bit loose on it. And yeah, this new one's real tight. The car feels real nice, and actually the stock seats in here, it's really comfy. And on top of that, we also changed over the wheels, which has made a massive difference. I think the other wheels that we had on here were like really bad out of balance or something like that, and that caused a lot of handling issues. But yeah, this thing for the first time ever is finally driving like a stock and normal car, and it doesn't feel like an engine swap. And that's kind of been the story of this car for the past 3 years. It's been fun to drive, but it's always felt like this engine never really belonged in this chassis. So, but now it feels really buttoned up, really nice, and I'm excited to see whether it passes a WAF or not. We were taking this thing in for a WAF yesterday afternoon, and we had some good news and we had some bad news. The bad news is that the car failed its WAF. The good news is that it failed for the dumbest things I've ever seen. Let me show you. So starting off strong, we have front wipers worn, and these wiper blades are literally brand spanking new. I replaced them just for the WAF. And then on to the next thing, just as stupid, we have the front left washer to operate, so this washer jet doesn't work, so we need to fix that. And then both dip beam too low, that means the headlights are adjusted too low. And then the next thing we have is exhaust leaking in various places. And when I asked him about where it was leaking, he proceeded to tell me it was leaking on the big round thing underneath the car, as in the exhaust, which is very unhelpful. So we've got to jack the car up and have a look for these supposed exhaust leaks. But no, it should be pretty easy. And then once he fixes these stupid things, then the car can get a WAF. It's just really frustrating trying to get a 90s car like this back on the road in New Zealand, because they literally do, as you saw, everything in their power to not pass an older car. For example, whilst they were checking this car over for a WAF, they flew through 3 separate cars on the other side whilst they were checking this one. So they checked this one 3 times harder than any other car that they had in there whilst I was there, which is just crazy. However, it was pretty funny watching them pop the hood and then try and figure out what engine was in here and whether it was the original one or not. They did ask me a few questions, but managed to bamboozle them a bit. Realistically, we took a 1.6 litre double overhead cam out of this, and we swapped in a 1.6 litre double overhead cam, and this thing's only making about 20 more horsepower than the original engine. So it is actually fully legal to have that swapped in there, and I've spoken with him about that, and he seems all good with it. So yeah, let's fix these small things and then hopefully be done with the WAF. So when we painted the front end of this thing, I think there was quite a bit of overspray that ended up getting up onto the windscreen here, and so a few months ago we actually sanded all of it off because it caused a nasty glare, but I never actually polished the windscreen after that, so there's been these big scratches in the windscreen since then. So yeah, hopefully this finally fixes our shitty windscreen situation, and then might be able to clear the water a bit better, because it should just bead off after we polish it. Alrighty, so the next job is we have to get both of these wipers to operate, and to do that all we need is this little piece which I've bought. So like a 3-way Y connector thingy, I'm going to connect that onto here, onto our washer jet thingy there. Go to that. Get this one on. Slide her on. Alright, you know what? I think that'll do the trick. So what we're looking for here is both nozzles to be spraying, and then the windscreen wipers to be wiping it away clearly. Well, I would say it's probably worse. Fuck. My phone did die, but I managed to go underneath the car and try and find these exhaust leaks they were talking about, but honestly I couldn't really find anything apart from a few small like pinholes here and there, so I did glue them up with some exhaust cement stuff. So hopefully it should be good. And apart from that, I also adjusted the headlights to make sure they were level. And yeah, really exciting. I'm pretty sure we should now pass the WAF, so I'm going to take it down and see what these guys say. Let's do it. Okay. Alright, so hopefully you guys can hear me. We've finally let the Civic warm up now. Now it's time to take her for a bit of a rip to end this video off. So as you guys just saw, the Civic just passed its WAF, which is absolutely massive because it's been over 2 years since this thing last had a WAF, and in that time we have crashed it, fully rebuilt it, taken the engine out, putting it back in, and yeah, basically just means that we can fully drive this car around, modify it, fully enjoy it all legally, which is like really exciting. And like now that I have fixed some of the issues that we had with this car, it's actually really nice to drive now. And I wanted to end this video with just a few driving clips of how nice this thing is to drive. So yeah, enjoy the next few clips of me fanging this thing around. When we drive this thing around, you can see that all the fixes that we made have completely fixed the steering wheel shake. They've fixed the joltiness, all the like weird little quirks about this thing that made it just really unpleasant to drive, and now all fixed, and this car is now really nice to drive, and I'm absolutely loving it at the moment. Woohoo! As you guys can hear, without that the old intake on, this thing has so much intake noise. It is so loud and it's a little bit obnoxious, and I don't really like it. And I absolutely love the fact that it's a sleeper. Like, the exhaust is so quiet, the seats are stock, the wheels are stock, the suspension is stock. It's literally just a stock car with a mighty B16 Vtec underneath the hood. And man, this thing is fun to drive. Woohoo! Listen to that thing roar. Alright, so I think I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one when we get to modify this thing. Cheers.